Brand new season, brand new dawn for
Box.
and it's lights out and away we go.
Simply lovely. I was really enjoying that last in.
Welcome back to Box, where we are still playing catch up. And this week, we are discussing the Canadian Grand Prix. And well, Checo's streak of mediocre performances continues, with him once again failing to get out of Q2 in that rocket ship of an RB19. Ever since Monaco, his quality performances have they've been on the slide. Max, on the other hand, bagged his third pole in a row, showing just what that car is capable of, and his determination to go for a third consecutive World Drivers' Championship. Checo once again needed to put in a recovery drive on the Sunday and made up 6 places to finish in P6. But if this continues, I can't imagine the team's going to be too happy. After all, the car is by far the quickest on the track, and he's not managing to get a podium every other week. I mean, I'm presuming there would be the expectation of a 1-2 in every race, and so far Max is the only one holding that up. Because, yes, in case you hadn't guessed, Max won again. So is anyone really surprised by that? No, not really. But anyway, Checo needs to get it together. He needs to get it together quickly, or his seat might be questioned. Mercedes. Qualifying was definitely more equal for the Brackley-based team this weekend. Lewis again out-qualifying George, but at least they both made it through to Q3. Lewis securing P4 and George P5. So that's at the right end of the top 10. It's not where they want to be, but it's definitely an improvement. But that was about the extent of how close they got this weekend. After qualifying, they both went in different directions, quite literally. Lewis made up a place for a P3 finish, securing his third podium of the season, while George, well, he failed to finish the race. There was so much potential for the team this weekend to secure a decent points haul and move up in the constructors. But alas, that did not eventuate in the slightest. And looking ahead to Austria, I think it's safe to say that they'll be focusing on just getting both cars to the checkered flag. Points, ideally, but just getting to the checkered flag. It's a low bar, but that's where Mercedes are at right now. Is it sad? Yes. But the higher they fly, the harder they fall. Ferrari need to get it together. I say this every week. Get it together. Their qualifying performances recently have been worse than usual. Charles once again failing to get to Q3, only managing to qualify in P11. Chucky, what the hell? And Carlos wasn't actually much better. He did manage to get through to Q3 and secure a P8 start, but they were P2 with the constructors last year. They were both doing so well, and they've just... It's a rapid nosedive, and just when you think it can't get worse, they go, hold my beer. But thankfully, they managed to get it together on Sunday, with both drivers making up places for a double points finish, which they desperately needed. Charlie gained 7 positions to finish in P4. Props to him. Only just missing out on a podium position. So decent recovery drive, all things considered. While Carlos made up 3 places for a P5. I mean, to end the weekend, P4 and 5, definitely an improvement on where they started, but still not really where they would probably like to be. And the championship contention that they were in last season is certainly not really happening. But points are points at the end of the day, and they did progress, so that's what counts. So that's something. And I'm going to focus on that positive. They did score decent points. Aston Martin. I may have jinxed Lance last episode, and I'd like to apologise if I have. There was a mixed qualifying performance this weekend. Fernando once again securing a Q3 appearance to keep his streak alive, starting the race in P3. Lance, on the other hand, Strolly Polly. Lance failed to get out of Q2, only managing a P13 in his home race. And while it could be worse, I think he and the team were expecting a little better, especially considering the performance he had last week in the first few races of the season. Especially considering the performances he had last week and in the first few races of the season. But points are points, and they are only scored on Sunday, and that's exactly what they did. Despite the mixed quali, they managed to bring it home for yet another double points finish. Fernando claiming another podium with P2, and Lance scraping in P9. So overall, they were able to capitalise on the misfortunes of some other teams, some other drivers, and secure themselves some decent points. So props to Aston Martin this weekend. McLaren. Once again, both Papaya boys through to Q3, which I didn't think was going to happen earlier this season. Lando again out-qualifying Oscar with a P7 and a P9 respectively. But once again, and this pains me to say, despite a decent qualifying performance that should at least secure them some points, both drivers failed to secure any. Lando lost 6 places for a P13 finish, while Oscar conceded 2 places for a P11. So, I mean, props to Oscar. He beat his teammate in his rookie season. He's done that a couple times now, so props to him. Great effort. But once again, a weekend where the team needs to learn, they need to grow, they need to figure out what is going wrong, and then discard the memory into the depths of their brains and move forward. Because it's not ideal. The car clearly has some pace. In qualifying, I mean, they're getting through to Q3 after all. They're just not delivering on their race pace. And I don't want to see them fall like Haas. So, McLaren, please get it together. Alpine. It was a great weekend for Esteban, and a not so great weekend for Pierre. Ocon got through to Q3 for the 4th race in a row, securing himself a P6 start in Sunday's race. Pierre, on the other hand, he failed to get out of Q1, breaking his streak of Q3 appearances with a P17 start. Just 11 places between the two of them, not a lot. And while I would like to say that Pierre had a great recovery drive and scored some points, he didn't. He did make up 5 places and finished in P12, so it wasn't his weekend. It was a great, I mean, to an extent, I guess it was a great recovery drive, just not good enough, realistically. But Esteban, on the other hand, he managed to score some points. He finished in P8, and he conceded 2 places. So, it's still going backwards, but he's still scoring some points, and that's what matters. I don't really know what else to say about them, to be honest. Haas. The most left field qualifying performance, and I certainly didn't have that on my 2024 bingo card. Hulk went absolute beast mode and got the absolute most out of the car, putting his Haas on the front row in P2. Where did that come from? In stark contrast to that of his teammate, who failed to get out of Q2 and secured a P14 start. So I think it's safe to say there was some mixed feelings in the Haas garage. But Sunday saw things return to their regularly scheduled programming. Unfortunately for the team, Hulk conceded 13 places and failed to secure any points, despite his front row start, finishing the race in P15. K-Mag also lost places and finished the race in P17. And I know I said this last week, but they really, and I mean really, need to work on their race pace. They're able to switch the tyres on for a decent to semi-decent qualifying performance. I mean, after all, they got on the front row. They beat the Aston Martins, they beat the Mercedes, they beat the Ferrari, and they beat McLaren. They beat the Alpines. They got the car on the front row. But they heat up the tyres and they wear them out way too quickly. And they just also don't have the pace over more than a single lap. And if they don't remedy this soon, they could be in for a rough rest of the season, and even a rough 2024. Changes need to be made. But enough about Haas. Let's move on to Williams. Mixed feelings in the Williams garage, I presume. Albon, he made his second Q3 appearance of the year, securing himself a P10. So good job to him. While on the other hand, Logie, he was not able to get out of Q1, securing himself a slot on the back of the grid in P19. So, yeah. Mixed feelings in the Williams garage. Alex was able to capitalise on his P10 start during the race, and he finished in P7. DRS train, phenomenal. Loved it. And he skewered and he secured some much needed points for the team. So overall, phenomenal effort. Logan, however, was not so fortunate. And he lost a place and finished the race. Dead last in P20. That was his final classification. So, yeah. Ultimately, this weekend has shown that the car has the pace to put in decent performances based on the track. And it is largely dependent on the track. And it's also shown that Alex is just, with his experience and being with the team a little bit longer, is able to get just that little bit more out of the car in those circumstances. Logan is, after all, a rookie, but there are positive signs for the team moving forward, and hopefully things are able to click for little Logie sooner rather than later. Alfa Romeo. Yeah. Don't know why I sounded so excited to talk about them. To sum up their weekend in one word. Mediocre. VB was able to get the car to Q2, but he didn't really make any inroads in Q2 and secured himself a P15 start. So we got there and then just stopped putting in any effort. Zhou, on the other hand, may as well have saved the engine and the components and just not gone out at all, given that he managed to secure a P20. Bottom of the grid. Couldn't beat Logan in a Williams. It was just not great. VB was able to make up 5 places by some miracle and secure a point for the team in P10, while Zhou made up 4 whole places for a P16 finish. But no points for him, because there's no points in P16. Kind of boring from them, to be honest. Literally not a lot going on. I don't even think I saw them on track. So, don't really know what else to say. So on to AlphaTauri. Yeah, look. Definitely not the type of performance Red Bull... It's definitely not the type of performance Red Bull would be wanting or condoning. Neither driver made it out of Q1. Nick secured a P18. Failed to outqualify Yuki again because he got a P16 in qualifying. Things didn't improve for Nick during the race, but they also didn't get any worse. So, that's something. He didn't go backwards. And he finished the race exactly where he started it in P18. Yuki, on the other hand, he did improve and he did gain 2 places to finish in P14. Other than that, I don't really know what else to say. Probably the only other performance this weekend that was more boring than that of the Alfa Romeo. If that is even possible. I didn't really see them because for that they actually have to do something and not just make up the numbers. I don't even think I saw Yuki's overtakes. So, yeah. It's, yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of BoxBox. Make sure to check out some of the other episodes, some of my other content, like, subscribe, all of those fun things, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.